Hi guys, welcome. Hello. Hi everyone. Wait, I just gotta grab my drink. Righty, I've got a cup of tea and I've got some water because it's hot again here. How is everybody? Let's see who's here. Abby, welcome. Helen, Kenny, Robert, hi. Dawn, hello. Sherry, hi everybody. Hi Gracelyn, welcome. I've just ruined a brush and was giving it a bit of a soak to see if I could get some stuff out of it. But, I'm gonna have to get some boiling water and see if I can get that out. Acrylic goes like plastic when it dries. And for some reason, I didn't realize there was some in this brush. It doesn't matter. It's a cheap brush. Still, I'll try and save it. Try and save it. Queensland, it's overcast. We're a bit smoky today. I think if there wasn't any smoke, it'd be actually sunny here. So, got my cuppa in my Belinda cup from a very special friend. And I've got my paint by numbers today, and we're going to do a giveaway of one of these kits today. One of the deluxe kits with the framed piece already and the brushes, the good set of brushes. So that's kind of cool and exciting. Crafties have given one of those for us to give away today. Yay! Hi May. Hi Lisa, welcome. Hi Debbie. Hi guys. I think it is supposed to rain here tomorrow, so maybe you'll get rain there, Sherry. Alright, so I'm going to do some paint by numbers today, and I'm going to give one away as well. So, we'll do the giveaway. Look how tiny that is. I'm doing this picture up in the top corner here. It's a huge, massive job, and everybody loved the last video, and they've given me one to give away, so I thought, why not keep going? I think this is going to absolutely be amazing when it's finished, even though it's so extreme. I think that detail is just going to make it look all the more real. So yeah, fun. Thunderstorms yesterday. Oh, well, it's just been hot here. It's actually been pretty crappy the last few days. It's just been sort of average weather. But we're about to get some more heat again. So I put a battery in it this time, and it's actually quite bright. I think last time I didn't put a battery in it, and it seemed pretty dull and a waste of time. But look at that. You can see it brightens it up a lot, doesn't it? And my camera's so low, this is going to be awkward. But look, see this little bit here? We can see really close up with that. You see that? Oh, no, there's no room up here for you today. Can't take over. Go away. Off. My cup of tea's there. Get off. Shadow. Shadow. Hi. You say hello? No. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why? Says no. I'm not going to say hello. Just leave me alone. Put my camera back there. Eee. Whatever that is, it's number 18. I can see that in the camera. That's cool. That's number 9. Look right there, number 9. They're so tiny. It's going to take me hours and hours and hours to do this. Hi, Kimmy. Hi, Kelly. Welcome, guys. I hope everything goes well, Gracelyn. All right. Shall I just get started? Let's just get started. I'm going to use this thing here. I'm going to try and zoom in and see if that helps too. Why not? Oh, hello. It does a little bit. I'll just push that forward a tiny bit there. I'll get some of these edge pieces here. Or maybe I'll come in a little bit and come back out. Let's do that. I think no matter what I do, it's going to take me so long to do each little section. It's going to be dry by the time I come back to it anyway. Hi, Dorothy. So who has done a paint by numbers before? I'm sure a lot of you have. All of us crafty colouring people have done stuff like that. Technically it's colouring, but with paint. Hi, Rain. Hi, Debbie. Welcome, guys. Don't you agree? It's colouring with paint. Now, the brush set that comes with the deluxe kit is quite big. Perhaps not for the more difficult sized paint by numbers, not as handy. But with the normal ones, because obviously I got an insane one, because that's what I like to do, insane. David from Crafties, who does the paint by numbers, said that he likes my enthusiasm for wanting to continue it. I just laughed. I'm like, yeah, of course, everyone loves it. We're going to continue it. Why wouldn't we? Got my water here as well. Why wouldn't we? There's not much room on this side of me. You know, the mouse is here, the water's here, everything's on this side. It is extreme. Hi, Dorothy. Hi, Corolla, welcome, guys. Hi, Miranda, welcome. Very extreme. You tried to but didn't finish it. Not for you. Okay. No patience. It is kind of mind-numbing. Come on. Put a movie on. Watch a movie while you're doing it. Why not? Keep bumping my little light there. It's in my way. Go that way. Where's my little paints down here? Alright, now I'm not sure if I've mixed all of these. Some of them I might have to mix again today. I'm not sure if they've been mixed, and I like to put a bit of water in them so that they I think this one has been though. It's got some telltale signs I've been into this colour already. Just cleaning them off as I go. This is a larger area, so I'm going to use one of the brushes I got with the kit. Just wetting them again. As they get used, the little brushes get little frayed edges, so you just need to be careful of those when you're painting. I don't know why that happens. Probably because paint's getting stuck in the heel of the brush, and that would cause it to fray a little. Can we see what I'm doing with that light there? It's quite easy for me to see, and it makes it look such a large area under this thing. It's so cool. It's actually the tiniest area you've ever seen. So yeah, I was chatting with David and I said to him that I really wanted to do a paint by numbers again, and maybe we could do a giveaway, and he was really happy to do that. So probably about halfway through we'll do a bit of a giveaway and give one of these babies away, give you a choice of which picture you want to do. There's some really cool ones in the shop now. I was looking on there the other day. And the artists have started to pop out some really cool ones. Sorry about that. Oh, audiobooks are good too. That's a great idea, Robert. And yeah, I like audiobooks. Audiobooks are good. I have a Kindle that reads to me, so it's not like dramatized or anything like that, but it's really cool because it just reads the words, but it's cool because I can, instead of having to buy an audiobook, I can just buy a Kindle book and have it read to me. It's just awesome. I just downloaded the Witcher series, so I'm gonna have a watch of that. A listen of that. And I think that's a number 18 there as well. It's very small spots here. I think I'll just do a section at a time rather than trying to pick colours from there. Otherwise I'm gonna end up going over the top of myself. So what was next to it? This is number 14. Number 9. It's upside down, remember? Let's do number 9. Number 9. And someone so politely pointed out to me the difference between 9 and 6 last time. And no, oh, it depends on, Kenny, what you've got it on. So number 9, they were saying to me that the stickers are actually pointing towards the opening, so that would be a 9 and that would be a 6. So thank you, whoever that was. Very handy. It depends, because I can, on my Kindle app on my phone, on my iPhone, there's a functionality in the accessibility or something like that. I don't know exactly where it is, so don't quote me on that. Where you can actually, if you tap on the screen, it reads to you what's on the page. So possibly. It's just Siri voice, but depends on what kind of Siri you have. Do you have the Englishman? I like the Englishman. Hello, Shadow. No, you can't come up. Not this time. No. Go on. I'm going to have to hold that because I don't want to bump it over. Such a tiny little image. It's amazing. I can't wait to see it finished. You shush. You shush, little girl. I can hear my phone going off there. We're making like gaps in the trees at the top here. So we're seeing a bit of sky. Through the trees here in the top corner. And I have got it upside down, as I said before, so. Shh, being noisy. Oh, bye, Corolla. You talking about this? Oh, shush. Being noisy. Being noisy. Being very noisy. Shh. I just got paint all over me. Oh. I probably went a little bit overboard with the paint there. On that brush. The one thing I'm going to cut that off because it's really starting to annoy me and I don't think it's going to get any better. Better. It was just getting in my way and it was touching everything on the side of the brush. She is full of it. She's always been full of it. She tried to come and sleep on the bed this morning, but Nanny would not have it. She would not have it this morning. She was like, nope, you cannot be on my bed today. If you want to be on my bed, you have to play, was Nanny's thoughts. And Shadow's like, nope, not having a bar of that. You don't need any skill to do this, I tell you. Just colour in the lines. Colour in the lines. My mum actually gave me this little light thing, and it looks like on the side of it, it's got like a thing where you can charge it or plug it in and have it on without batteries. At the moment, it's got batteries in it, so. You're being noisy. Shh. Noisy butt. Yes. That might be annoying me leaning on that. I'm sorry. It's just right in my way. It's right in my way and it's bumping. Ah, it was cool. We couldn't get Shadow on the bed. We tried a couple of times. We tried. And Nanny would not let her. She kept trying to chase her. So, yeah. It was a little family photo we did of our new bed. And it takes up the whole room. One side of the room, anyway. I'm going to go with a different brush. That one's annoying me. Miss Shadow. Number 23. Number 23. Where are you? Oh, hello there. I wonder if I can move that over there a bit and lean this forward. And that way I'm not bumping it. That's better. No bumping. I just need to be able to see in there as well. That's my problem. Alright. That seemed like a waste for one number. Is there any others? I'm not seeing that very well. That's better. Number 23, are you there? Woohoo. Oh dear. Oh, that one's going away. I've just got it on my brush and there's quite a bit there, so I thought I'd just have a look and see if there's any more number 23s anywhere else. Taught my daughter how to use a sewing machine yesterday, and she's going to make us some things. So that will be fun. I'll show you them one day. She's got to do at least one of them first before we can show, but she's getting there. Whoa, hello. It's not very... Oh, there we go. No, not very helpful, Mr. Light, and you're really dirty. Let's clean it off, shall we? When you pull that away and you see how small that is, it puts things in perspective. And I'm only in the top corner. This is a large picture. All of the paint by numbers don't have sizes. They all come in whatever size the image comes in. There's only one size. But you can choose to have a deluxe kit, which comes with a framed picture and see if that goes well. And a normal kit, which just comes with the rolled up tube and the paints and normal brushes. The one with the frame takes a little bit longer shipping wise to get here. It's also a little bit more in price because you've got to get it shipped as well. So yeah. Just gone for 9 again because I can see quite a few 9s here, so let's do 9 again. Hi from Canberra, Linda. How are you, lovely? How is the weather coming back? We still got lots of smoke or getting better? It's really smoky here today. Just trying to keep it nice and thick so I don't have to do any second layers on these sections. Gosh, could you imagine trying to do a second layer on all of these? No, thank you. Much cooler but smoky. Yeah, not good, eh? Not good. And I saw that a lot of things closed. They're having to close them off because of the fires. I know we used to holiday in Cape Conran with Cam's family and friends, and I know that they, down there at Cape Conran Holiday Caravan Park, they were all asked to leave because the fires were coming through and they were unable to help people up that end. So people were asked to go. As you would go, because if you're stuck like in Malakuta, all those holidays and locals got stuck down on the river, on the water. I think it was like 3,000 people or something stuck down there. definitely heed the warnings if you get them. This big bit here is all number 14, so I'm thinking I might do that. They'd close the rows behind you. Hi, Mummy! Who's this then? Not Judy, she's babysitting. Who is it then? Who's using Mum's account? Yeah, it's a bit scary, isn't it? Can you tell me the difference between acrylic brushes and watercolor brushes? There isn't really a difference. However, if you're going to do watercolor and acrylic, keep them separate because acrylic will harden the brushes and make them a little... Ross. Okay. Hi, Ross. Happy birthday for last week too. So what was I saying? The acrylic brushes. Acrylic brushes, the acrylic tends to make the brushes harder and stiffer. And watercolor, you want to keep your brushes nice and soft. So make sure that you keep them separate if you're doing both. And you want to look after those watercolor brushes and keep them nice and soft. That's the only difference really between them. Also, you can get different types of watercolor brushes, you know, thick, fluffy ones that soak up lots of water. But yeah, pretty much you can use any brushes for anything. The only brushes that are really difficult to use, other than with what they're intended for, is oil brushes. Oil brushes tend to be more hard like that. And you can use this kind of brush as well. So to be honest, you can use any brush for anything. If you like it, use it. But if you're going to use different mediums with them, keep them separate. Okay, I'm going to need a bigger brush because I'm going to do a bigger area. Well, this one hasn't been used yet. Hi, Cassie. Hi, Becky and Steve. How are you? You're so old you nearly forgot. No, I didn't see them, Linda. Hello, Shadow. Go away. Stop annoying us. Can't come up today. No. Ross is my stepdad, by the way. He's Judy. Okay, I need to move it away a little bit because I can't get my brush under there. Can you still see it? I'm trying not to bump that thing for you there. It's a long way down here. Why aren't you working? It's actually very quiet for summer. Business-wise. No worries, Linda. How long, when will you actually be home? So I'm doing the top left-hand corner. What is this? This must be tree. Must be a big bit of trees. It's a big area. Tonight. Wow. As long as you get through, yeah. No, that was a bit much. That was a big blob of paint there. It's hard to tell until you get under the actual magnifying glass how much you actually have compared to the actual size of the area you're colouring or filling in. I'm working on a really big paint by numbers that's kind of extreme. Crafties, he wanted to test how a larger coloured image would come out, so giving us a wider variety of colour to use, how that would come out. And when I opened it, I nearly freaked. It's pretty extreme. As we can see here, the areas are tiny. There's 34 colours, I think, in this one. And up in the top left-hand corner is what I'm actually doing, and I have the image upside down at the moment, so I can start from the top and work down. It is intense. Let's have a look. It's pretty intense, and it's pretty big too. This thing is quite big. I don't even know. I haven't got my ruler here, but it's pretty large. Approximately 50 centimeters by 40 centimeters. In size. What is under there? A couple of paints. Let's move those. The brush is getting dry. Let me just clean that up again. Nope, we're calling it extreme. Needless to say, they're not all like this. This was a tester one that we thought we'd try. So for the giveaway one, it'll be a normal paint by numbers. It won't be extreme like this, so don't stress about that. Also, because it's so tiny, I'm not too stressed about the detail, because if I skip over a tiny little bit, it's not going to make a huge difference on the grand scheme of it all. I'm going to try to stick to the correct colours, of course, but I don't think missing one little colour is going to impact this whole section here. I do think though, once it's done, it's going to look pretty impressive. Impressive. Excuse my squeaky chair there. Of course, I'm not worrying about doing dark or light colours, I'm just working section by section. But you could, if you would choose, I actually like to do all the light colours first and then come over with the black. It's harder to cover over a darker colour with lighter colour. So if you've gone over the line slightly, it's easier to fix if you're going over dark over light. I think they actually say the opposite way around to start, but Why not be different? Do what's easy for you. It's nice filling in a large section like this, isn't it? Satisfying, getting a little bit finished. No worries, sweetheart. Be careful. Drive careful. Lovely Linda. Hi Elaine, welcome. If I've missed anyone coming in, hello. This paint by numbers is called Autumn. Do you know, that area doesn't have a number in it. That's frustrating. They missed a number. Kind of leaning over this direction a bit now. And go down a little bit. I'm probably going to have to refer back to the original image and see what's in that section. I probably painted over it. It does look like it's going to be pretty. It's pretty, even though it's detailed. It's going to look awesome when it's done. It'll look really... It'll look less like a paint by numbers, I think, because it's so tiny. I'm not sure, Rain. I haven't heard from her. After Portilli. Oh. Alright. I'm getting somewhere. I feel like I am. Kind of feels a bit pointless, but... It will be worth it. It'll make this beautiful picture at the end. I might need a smaller brush for this section here. Intricate sections. Alright, whoa, get back up there. Thinking it might be a number 6 or 5 in here. Ah! The thing just closed on my hand. You're annoying me. Yeah, it was a bit sad. For those that don't know, Tilly is Sammy's bird. A little budgie. Very cute. And it sadly passed away. It went in to have a tumour taken out and went into cardiac arrest and didn't make it. So very sad. And sad losing an animal, pet. This was a very large area, this one. Getting bored of one colour. It's a great thing about paint by numbers. You change your number over. I'll finish this section though, because otherwise I'll lose myself. It's so hard to think that these tiny little tubs can do a whole picture like this though. It's actually quite amazing. I think I've only ever run out of one with the paint by numbers, one colour, and that was a black on the Venice picture I did. But it was the very first one that I did, and I didn't actually water down or thin off any of the paints for that until after I started. So I think if I had have added a few drops of water into it at the start, it may have taken me to the end of the picture. But if you ever run out, you just need to contact Crafties and let them know what number it is and what painting it is, and they will send you some more. What have I done here? Because that says number 6 now. Have I gone over my line? Ugh, I made a boo-boo already. Where does that supposed to stop? Let me have a look at the original one. It's me. It must be time for a giveaway. Getting there? Time for a distraction? Let me have a look at the image close up. Oh, I see. Yeah, I've gone over. This is actually like a little bit of a ditch, so I'll fix that up. But it comes over here. Alright. All good. I can fix it. It's okay. Where's it gone? Where'd I put my paint? Okay, now I'm having a moment. Oh dear, I can't find my paint. Where did I put it? That's 14 there. Is that what I was doing? Yes. I closed it. Well, that's good because, you know, if I hadn't have closed it, I might have knocked it over. Okay, this bit all is the right colour. I was just getting carried away. No, it won't show. I'll just fix it. I'll just cover over it. It's fine. All of this is right. It's just a tiny little section there that actually goes down, which I can change. Now, how's it going to show? It's tiny. But we'll fix it. Ah, went over the edge. There's a bit of a ditch there on the board from the frame. Making sure there's no spots that I've missed. A couple of white patches that I've just got rid of. And I think that looks pretty good. Just while I've got it out, there's a little bit of just in there. It looks like this colour and the other colour are next to each other a lot on this one. This brush might be a little bit... keeps closing on me. My camera wasn't quite so close. It would work better. Don't go too far because we're going to do a giveaway in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Just make sure you clean those brushes out too. You don't want to leave any in there or you'll wreck them like the other one I wrecked earlier. Alright, what's next? Let's go with that. Let's go back down here. I think it's number 6. Yeah, let's do 6. Okie dokie. I think comes down, and this is 5, which is blue. This is this same color here that I missed before. It's got no number there, but I think I've covered it over. Covered it. Okay. And 5, 3, 11, 4, 14 again. Oops, I missed another 14. 8, 5, 6 is here. So this one here is the one that I stuffed up. It goes all the way sort of down here a bit. So let's just make it look like it goes down there a bit. And I stuffed up here too. So let's just fill it in a little bit. It's still gonna look like cheese. It's kind of a little bit of a blurry mess in this whole image. Like, it's just lots of individual little color strokes put together to create the original anyway. There you go. That looks about right. It was probably a little bit skinnier maybe. Let's just do about that. That looks good. Look at that. It looks awesome. No one will even know the difference. I will. Do you guys find that? Showing patrons, I finished the Mary image by Momo Girl, and I made a few mistakes in that. They're all like, oh, it looks awesome. I can't see any mistakes, but I can. No, I fixed them up so you can't see them anymore. They've gone. This is quite a large area too, this number 6. I like purple, so that's fine. I could paint purple all day. I do. I posted it on my community wall. It's also in my group, Cassie, if you want to check that out as well. It was my last live stream that we worked on, and we're doing Troll Girl at the moment by Christine Caran. And I'm using Prismacolor, but I've given a few different pencils that you can convert to if you don't have them. This is where I got mixed up before. This is actually the end of this section here, but it still comes over here, which is where I got a bit confused, I think. It's hard when the colours kind of go, like one colour spreads around a fair bit. And they've only added one number in that whole section, so you've got to keep track of that whole section. So that's all purple up there. That stops, and then this still continues on up here. Just marking it in a little bit there so I don't forget. Come back over this side and finish that little section. nice little skinny bit there. We're done. Can't even tell I made a boo-boo there. It's all good. You back, Kenny? Oh, thanks, Nikki. Thank you, Helen, for posting that up. No, it's on, I mean, it will be in one of her books eventually, but at the moment it's an individual image. Thanks. They're not really. They're not really steady. Let's go back down here. Let's do number 5. I might need a smaller brush again. Oh, I don't think I've mixed number 5 before. Oh, yes I have. This is number 5 here. Cool, just checking. Just cleaning out the, I'm just cleaning out the lid with a brush just to bring it back down, because they've all been in a container upside down and it's all stuck to the top of the lid again. Just use a brush to wipe that down. Alrighty, number 5 is alive. Is that a movie? Looks good. Oh, you're on the move. Cool. All right, well, if everybody wants to do the giveaway, we can do that now. So, let me just zoom out a little bit. I'll keep painting. I will. I'll keep painting. I don't have a keyboard, so this is going to be fun. Keyboard's been put away. Okay, I'm going to play the giveaway rules for everyone. Let me just check. How many people have we got? We've got plenty of people to do under 1 in 100. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Yep. Here we go. Pick one number between 1 and 100. Only one number per person. The first person to call the number owns it. Don't pick on my spelling mistakes, okay? I know they're there. I have to fix it up. Anyway, no chatting during number calling until the winning number is drawn. No numbers before the words go, 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 or after stop, stop, stop will be counted. Yes, I definitely have to redo this one. The number closest to the generated number without going over wins. If we don't have one, we'll redraw it. I'll be drawing the random number from random.org. Make sure that you're on live chat and not top chat, so you can see when I type the words go, go, go. Because there is a little bit of a delay between when I type and when I speak. Alright, shall we do it? Hey, Christy. Alright, who's ready? Who wants to win a paint by numbers? It's a full deluxe kit with the framed image, the nice deluxe paint brushes, and I'll even let you pick what image you want to do. some reason this is coming out really thin. Everybody ready? Type ready. Ready, roller. Me. All right, here we go. Number calling has begun. I will need to get a full name, address, and phone number from the winner to give to Crafty so that they can send you out your package. Oh, looking good. People's looking good. I probably should have put a timer on. I usually put a timer on. Why didn't I put the timer on, peoples? Let's do it now. Too busy talking, concentrating. We'll put it on for a minute because I think we've already done quite long enough. Got another minute. Well, technically it may not be that because you'll be hearing this later. I'm having trouble with this colour. It doesn't want to... It's really thin. It doesn't want to go. It's okay, you can do it. You can do it. So your first number counts. You can't change it. The first one who called it wins it. Alright. Get off. Stop it. Sorry guys, one number per person. If somebody else gets it as well, it's the first person to call it, unfortunately. Alright, let's do this. Wait, I need to... Wait, put that down. I need a hand. I'm going to go to random.org. Oh, you can just move out of the way for a minute. And this down here is already set up for us. Generate. Number 17 is the winning number. So, guess who won it? Abby. No, it's okay. No worries, Nikki. Don't worry about it. All good. We know. We can see. So the winning number, I can't type. Hang on. Let me see if I can reach. Is there? 17. And the closest to number 17 without going over number 17 was Abby. Yay! Congratulations! I'll contact you, sweetie, and get all your details. And you'll have to go to have a look at Crafties and pick an image that you would like to do. I will pop the link up now for you. And if you would like to get a paint by numbers, check out this link as well. Also, all those details are in the description below too, so you can find them there and you can go order from there. And what I'm doing is Autumn by Ben Heine. And this is the deluxe kit. So this comes with a framed image and it comes with the good brushes, all different size brushes, and your paints as well. They're all done for you, so you don't need to frame it or anything. But you can buy the kits, the basic kit, which comes with the actual canvas, the paints, and normal brushes as well. Now, let's zoom back in again. and keep going. I'm pretty sure this is a number 5. I did look at it on the canvas and it is blue, so we're going to go with 5. Can you see how thin that is? It's just not going down very well, this one. I'm actually not sure what number that is, all the way up there. It's alright, I'll figure it out. I'll make it up as I go. It's leaving patchy spots. Just trying to, I might need to let it dry and actually go over it again. All good. I'm over that number. Let's go to a different number. What have we got here? Number 11 is grey. Let me look at the picture. Having the picture helps, guys. It really does. It actually looks like, wait. Oh, I thought I'd done a boo-boo then. It's all good. It actually is the same colour all the way up, but it doesn't look grey here. It looks different coloured. We'll do grey. Oh dear. Drying my brush off a bit so it doesn't get too watery. If you vanish, it means you've lost reception. Okay. Hi, Shelley. Welcome. Did you win again? Does it hurt? Does it, Abby? Does it hurt? You two are bad picking on each other. Here's a good example of doing a light first, because now I'm trying to go over some of those dark edges and it looks kind of weird. Oh good. Gooda. Another 11 up here. There's a big 11 up here. Keep bumping that thing again. I'm leaning on it. It's very hard to do this under a camera like that. You slept? You guys. I've always walked funny too, Abby. is the time? Nearly lunchtime. See, there's no number in that little section there. Can you see that? And I definitely haven't painted over that, so that's just missing. Slightly annoying. Definitely the reason why you need a full image of this, to be able to see by eye what colours you need to put in there. I really don't think it would matter what colour I put in there, but we'll try and match it. Oops. Bit too much there. You guys see that okay? I don't know how boring it is watching someone do paint by numbers. Is that boring? Do I do more of these, or do I leave it now and just do a finished product? It's up to you guys. You guys vote. Oh, a bit much there. There's a tiny little bit left down here in the corner of number 11. $17. Oh, there's an 11. Oh, is that an 11? Yep, there's an 11. There's an 11 down here. But I need to move my thing away from there. It's hard to get the brush into that far in. No, not boring, not boring, not boring. Okay, cool. Oh, why does the cat run around daft crazy when I start to do live streams? Attention. It's like, I've been asleep all day and now you want to go to sleep? I don't think so. Oh, donk. Hi, Rosemary. Oh, thanks, Linda. What color's next? Let's looky in here. Oh, this is annoying me. Come on. You can do better than that. Wait, let me... It's not quite... It's... Yeah, I'm struggling with this thing. It's giving me the shits. Beep. Sorry, guys. Alrighty, that might be a little better. Because I need to see in it as well. It's hard. It's hard work, this is. Oh, look, number 3. Let's do number 3. Oh. Number 3 is just like a dark grey. Looks almost black. Now, there's a bit up here that I didn't know what the number was. In the middle of the grey spot. Guess what? It's not even on the picture. Huh? How does that work? It's like, what? Well, it's now going to be whatever colour I'm holding. Because I can't handle it. This little bit up here. It had no number. It's now dark, whatever it is. Any more number 3s that I can see? There's one up here on the edge. Oh my gosh, the camera can't even see that far out. Don't get too dizzy there. You can do it. Oh wow, it's not even on it. Hello. There's a little bit here that extends from the purple, and I'm going to assume that should be purple because there's no number in it. I like this game. Decide which number. Pick a number, any number. Now, here's another section. There's no number in that bit there, but there's a 9 there. It looks like it might be a darker purple. Let's go with 17. It might have been at the bottom of it and I've missed it. That happens. And that number 17 is over here as well, so let's fill in that too. Just get rid of some of that paint on the top of the brush there and put it onto the tip. A couple of 17s up here too, so I'm just going to, can't move my camera anymore, fill those out. There's one in here, really can't wait to see this finished. I haven't even finished the top corner yet, and I want to see it finished. It's funny, isn't it? Such tedious work, yet I can't wait. This is a pretty colour. Also purple. Just filling out these little sections here now. That weren't filled in. Sorry, bumping the light again. I couldn't think of a better way to do it though. Tiny little sections. I think I'm done with that colour. I used to do paper towel and found it stressful. Really? Diamond painting's awesome. Oh, thanks, Cassie. But I have trouble with diamond painting because where did you get yours from? Crafties have diamond painting as well, so bye Cassie. We'll be back on Friday for more Christine Caran colour along. Excuse me, snipping away. So pop in, check us out there. I can't even see that number in there. It looks like it might be a 9. I'm going to use a 9 down here. That is a 5 next to it. 6. Oh, I just got paint on me. It's alright, it peels off when it's dry because it's plastic. Here. What am I looking for? I don't even know what I'm looking for. I think this is a 9 here too. Looks like a 9. This is definitely a 9. Let's just show a little bit of perspective here. That looks quite big there, but wait, that's actually how big it is. It's tiny. It looks like this really huge area, but it's really not. paint by numbers and diamond painting, I get a sore upper back from leaning over looking at it because I'm blind. Big help with the diamond painting was to have a light underneath it. Light shines through and you can see the numbers so much more clearly. That might actually help with paint by numbers too. I'm not sure. I've never tried it. I don't know where my light box thing is. I'd have to get it out and have a look. Again, I have no number here. You go to painting with diamonds. Do you know about artist is you what? Robert, I'm not sure. The artist, the original artist of this actually makes money from these. So at Crafties, they actually have a whole heap of artists who supply their original images for paint by numbers, and they actually get paid per one that they have sold of theirs. So if you brought one, this is Ben's one, if you brought one of his, he actually gets paid for that. So he gets a percentage of that. And that's for like all the artists. So they're trying to do it a little bit different, trying not to have just the normal stock art images. So this is going to be yeah, it's good that they do that. What do I need 14 again for? 14's a boring color, but we're going to do 14. I feel like we've hardly even scratched the surface on this one. I reckon I could spend another 4 hours on it and look like I haven't done anything. Anyway. That's what we call extreme paint by numbers. Nikki Burnett has, I've got a diamond painting of hers. It's massive. Actually, Linda, I'll have to show you one day. It's absolutely massive. I couldn't even get it on my kitchen table. There's another 5 just there. Just believe me, it's covered over now, but it was a 5. Where was I? Over here. Got lost. You think so? Linda, I don't think it looks like I've done heaps, or maybe it does. I don't know. Oh, there's a 14 again. It doesn't feel like I've done lots. It feels like I've done nothing. Oh, I don't think I've done this number today. Number 18. It's good that they pay the artists. I have no idea what that number in there is. Again, another one I'm not sure of. And you know what? It's probably not the paint by numbers. That it's probably me. I've probably covered it. I'm just going to say that. So yeah, there's two colours there I'm not sure of. It's very detailed in there. Diamond dots. Never heard of them. Yeah, Shelley, I've seen that happen too, especially with Jasmine Beckett images. I have one of mine. And the stupid thing is they don't even take the watermark off. Idiots. Anyway. It happens. This is like a khaki green colour. Those beeps and noises were everybody making lunch, by the way. Microwave goes. Noodles usually. I'm actually thinking this might be the darker green up here. And I'm just going to put it in anyway, even if it's not. Because it looks like it might fit there. This bit here. That was another bit that didn't have a number. Or I've covered over the number. Another number 4 down in here. Oh, I put my hand in it. Oh, it's like I put my foot in it. Camera can't see there. Oh man, I'm on camera. Now I've lost where I was. Oh, up there. The number 4 right on the very edge here, which you're not even going to be able to see. Alright. Let's move away and have a look at it. Just zoom out a little bit. It is going to look good. I have about 4 finished diamond paintings and I have nowhere to put them. I did one, I don't even know where it came from now, and I haven't been able to finish it because there was one colour diamond missing, like a whole bag or something, so I've just got it sitting there not finished. It was supposed to be for my dad for his birthday last year, but needless to say that didn't happen. There's a picture of a mermaid and a boat. I've got a beautiful, huge one of a lake and trees, and it's taken forever and it's massive. But it needs to be framed to be hung on the wall. That hasn't been framed yet. I did one for my mommy. Which was a massive, big, huge vase of flowers. Took forever. That's diamond painting. Done quite a few paint by numbers now too. This was number 10. Number 10. Number 10. I can't find you. Done. I have to have a look. I have to get it out and have a look, Linda. It's up in my other craft room. Oh dear. But yeah, I'll have to let you know. I've contacted the company like 5 to 10 times, I'm going to say. And each time they said, yep, we'll send it, and I've never received anything. There was actually like 3 that were wrong. So very frustrating. I really like this green. It's like a forest green. Sorry, can't see. Camera move again. Okay. There we go. It was number 8. Number 8, burp. I'm not going to burp. But that's what Barney would do. Off The Simpsons. I'm sure I confuse you with my TV references. Alright, 14 again. Number 6, a little bit more purple. Of areas there I just wanted to neaten up as well. That's 14, that's 18, number 6 all the way at the top here. That's a confusing one to follow, that one. Comes all the way over here. That was a big area. It just was lots of wiggly lines. Looks good. I don't know what that number is. It's kind of squished up in there. I can see a number 2. Yeah, that's right, Linda. That's the one that's stuffed up. And stupid company. I actually don't remember who they were. But I get mine from Crafties now because I know him, and I know I'm gonna get what I purchase. This is a number 2 in here. And it's 13. It's 1, 5, 14. I swear I saw another number 2 here somewhere. Mean. Oh well. Sylvester cushion. I love Sylvester. One of my favorite cartoon characters. I don't think, have I done number 1? Oh, here's number 1. It is a nice orange colour. Yes, I have done number 1. This is all number 1. And that's number 13 down there. Goodness me. These are tiny little section, these ones. These are hard to see. I'm going to do the 13 because it's disappearing under all that mess. It's becoming a hot mess. That was wet on wet too, so it just had to be a little bit careful there that it didn't make a bit of mud, because that would have looked good. Muddy. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. Just throwing it away. Throw it away. Oh, it's hard to see there, but I just added a bit of green in there. What's next? Oh, there's a little bit more blue in there. It's kind of a blue violet, this one. It's not really blue. It's like blue violet. But that goes in here. Oh, bumping the thing again. Okay, I found the other number 2, by the way. It's hiding over the other side. Down here. And it tangles in with the 14. Plays a bit. It plays a bit. Bye, Helen. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for mod. Thank you for mod. Thank you for modding. I can't actually see what color that one is. Oops. No, now it's blue. Never mind. No, I don't know what color that one is. I'm just going to add some 14 in there. I think that's what's in between all of these. So we'll just do it, shall we? And then that whole top corner will be finished. That whole little section there. That whole little section. It's a whole little section. You definitely can't be a perfectionist on these things, otherwise you'd go mental. I'm going to finish up from here today. I'm going to try and do some voice recording for that Mary image by Momo Girl. Can it all tangled in here with the other colour? Finished that top corner now. How cool does that look? It actually, you know, is looking really good. You can kind of see what it's going to be. Maybe. Kind of looks a bit of a mess, but maybe you can see that it's coming along. It's looking like the tops of trees and things. Maybe it's one of those things you got to stand away from and, you know, look at it from far away to see what it is. That's what it feels like. What have you been waiting for a year for? It's been over a year since my diamond painting things were stuffed up. I haven't done a diamond painting in a very long time, actually. It's been a very, very long time. Just touching up a few bits and pieces here and there. And getting there very nicely here. Alright. What's the time? Oh, 7 minutes. And then I'm going. Why 7 minutes? Because I've got 7 minutes. Because then I've been streaming for 2 hours and I reckon that's long enough. My back and neck are going to be sore already. Yeah, I don't know what number that is, but it's now going to be orange. It's orange. Have I done number 16? I have. Here we go. Number 16. Down in the corner here. Can we see it down here? Just down here. This pink little spot. Just make sure it's thick enough to cover over the number because it's a light colour. Wait. But wait, there's more. Nope, I don't even know. Oh, that could be a 16. Let's do it anyway. It's now number 16. One paint by numbers. Which one was that one? Was that the elephant one? Was that paint by numbers? Am I remembering right, Miss Linda? I do not know. How can you be typing and watching in the car? I can't do that. I'd be sick. I would be sick. Ugh. I'm a terrible, terrible, terrible traveller. I don't know if I've done that colour yet. There's so many colours here on my bench. It's not funny. Yes, the elephant's cool. You can't do it for long. The elephants were pretty. Get some 19 here. Sorry, the thing I moved it and it's bumped. I'm not sure if it's easier doing it all section by section. I reckon it might be easier doing it number by number. Just going around and finding numbers, but I think it takes me too long to find the numbers, so I get frustrated. Whereas this way, I'm doing a little bit by little bit and I can see it's starting to get done. You know what I mean? But obviously you can do it any way you like. Just kind of dabbing that on in there. It's so tiny. That section. Alright, I'm almost finished, I think. I'm getting very tired and I need to go to the bathroom. 2 hours with a cup of tea and a half a bottle of water and I'm done. TMI. I'm sure. I'm sure. It was a tiny little bit, wasn't it? Number 11. Let's have a look. The grand scheme of kid things, on the grand scheme of things. Oh, let's have a look, because we haven't done a lot. Look at this extreme paint by numbers at work. Obviously it's upside down, so it's actually the top corner. We can see though it's starting to look, because this bit here is like in this top picture here that you can see, this is all like bush and shrub coming, sky coming through there. But you can tell that it's starting to look a little bit like trees. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I zoomed out quick. That's as far as I can go. The camera's too low now. Thanks, guys. Well, look, congratulations to the lovely Abby for winning the full deluxe kit. Abby, I'll be in touch with you and we'll organise that coming out to you. Usually it takes about 4 weeks for it to get to wherever it's going. So, yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. Linda, have a safe trip back. Make sure you let me know when you're home so I know you're okay. And everyone else, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, mods, for modding. This is going to take time. A long time. I might have to do some off camera so at least then we look like we're getting somewhere. Hi, Lulu. We're just saying goodbye. But, yeah, looks good. I'm going to love you guys and leave you. I will see you on Friday for our second part of the Christine Caran image. So this is the first part. And I'll see you on Friday for some hair. Woohoo! Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.